Here's what we're buzzing about at NewsBeast. Ohio school shooting, and today, Michigan and Arizona go to vote, and Santorum and Romney fighting for a first place finish. But tell us a little bit about your piece in Ohio to start.
Sure. So after this horrific school shooting yesterday morning in Chardon, Ohio, small town about 30 miles from Cleveland, we started to find out on Twitter that it seemed like there were these two teachers, one in particular, a football coach named Frank Hall, and another one named Joseph Ricci, a math teacher, who had seemingly taken on some very brave action and made the situation a little less horrific than it could have been. What we found out as we looked into it a little bit more, and I spoke to some of the students who were in the school, that it seems like Frank Hall, the football coach, actually chased the shooter out of the school. The other one, Joseph Ricci, apparently pulled a wounded student into his classroom and administered some first aid until paramedics were able to arrive. So my story is basically I found out a little bit more about these two men. They seem to be deeply involved in the life of the school and beloved by all the students there. So, you know, it's one of these stories that lends a little bit more of a it sheds some light on just what it's like to go through one of these horrific experiences at this school.
And what do we know about the shooter at this point? There have been some Facebook postings.
Sure. I mean, the original reports were very confused. Since then, local media and actually the boy's family's lawyer have identified him as T.J. Lane, who's a 17-year-old student at the school. And that's what we know about him at this point. It seems like the police haven't officially identified him. They're waiting for it to be adjudicated at this point, but that's where that stands.
Do we know, just final question, unless you have anything to add, where he got the gun?
No, unfortunately, none of that information's been released yet.
All right, well, certainly, you know, I keep wondering how many more school shootings we're going to have.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's just extraordinary that this is just like clockwork, dead kids in school. Andrew, you and I focus on less matters of life and death with politics, but today's a big day. 59 delegates at stake, most delegates up to this point in the process. And Arizona looks like Romney's running away with it, but Michigan's where the fight's at. I understand you get talking about Medved's piece today, where there's a little bit of anxiety running through the Michigan.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
GOP.
it's fascinating to watch. We've seen the polls kind of shift up, down. Romney had the momentum, Santorum had the momentum, but over the last 24 hours, actually, these final polls have shown them kind of trading off the lead. So no one knows what's going to happen in the primary tonight. The best forecaster out there, Nate Silver, gave it kind of a 50-50 split. So
he's down to 50-50
Oh yeah,
now.
oh yeah. I mean, it's like 55-45, but they're separated by maybe 0.7% in the forecast. So we really don't know what's going to happen. And I'm fascinated with this piece that Medved wrote, which basically says, you know, if Santorum wins in Michigan and looks more and more like he's a real possibility for the nomination, what do Republicans do? Not so much in the sense of
collectively freak out would be my guess.
Right. It's not so much in the sense of bring someone else in at the convention or something like that, but you know, how can they accept him as the nominee, or you know, are they resigned to losing in November? And is it better to lose with Romney because he'll help other people down ticket, or Santorum, who will, you know, blow up the entire party? So,
yeah, Andrew Sullivan was saying yesterday that he's at the point of almost hoping for a Santorum nomination just because he thinks it would be cleansing for the Republican Party to sort of, you know, have such a clearly defined social conservative far right candidate. Andrew would call him a theocrat. And then see what that's like.
Right.
You know, see what you know, what's it like to win 3-4 states.
Yeah, if you want to have an argument about contraception, you know, sexual mores, the various other topics, whether people should go to college, have that argument in the general election and see what happens. I don't think it would turn out too well for the Republicans.
Yeah, so I think there's cause for anxiety, and I you know, if Santorum does come out with more delegates, I sort of wonder. You know, if there will be a Hail Mary attempt by the adults in the room to get someone else, if no one gets to 1144, but it'll be fast.
Who would it be? I mean, who could it possibly be?
You know, there's the Jeb Bush fantasy, you know. A fantasy at this point. All right, final word.
Teachers.
Alliances.
Shootings. That's all for us at NewsBeast. We'll see you tomorrow. That's sort of a wonky, it's tough to go from shooting to politics, Frank.